Good morning. Today we're going to start putting together our SmallKat. So the first thing we're going to want to notice is sometimes the 3D printed parts have a little bit of extra gunk to them. So if you'll notice that some of these washers don't quite fit on these shafts quite well. So best way to deal with that is if you use your trusty multi-tool or just a pair of pliers with rounded jaws, and we're going to grab our part right there, and we're just going to twist it. Twist, 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 while applying pressure with the jaws of our pliers. This acts like a nice, even, round file. It goes all the way around. Good. And we use the knife to clean it up. There we go. There we go. Yeah, that's better. And a little bit of clean up there. Then we just check to see if it fits on our bearing. So we want to do this check on each of the little nubs before we begin. And if you find any that need a little extra rubbing, you go ahead and give it that rub before you start. Alright. So now I'm going to put this back where it came from. Our little tester bearing. Okay. Now we've got all of our parts laid out. And the first thing that I wanted to do is go through and label the lefts and the rights. Each of these pieces have a left and a right version. And you can see that they're mirror images of each other. Let's flip this one the right way around so it's not confusing to look at. All the shafts coming off this way on the rights. And oops, let's turn these the right way around. All the shafts coming off this way for the lefts. Okay? And you'll notice we have plate side up, ankle side up, and the servo horn away from us for this part on all of them. And for these, we have the bolts pointing towards us. So in that configuration, servo horns to the right, our right hand part. Servo horns to the left, our left hand part. And to figure out which feet go where, just pay close attention to which side the horn's on and which side the bearing's on. And just line it up with its appropriate foot. Okay? So, let's do a rough assembly on our legs. So, the way these legs assemble is that you hook the bearing into your part with the servo small edge aligned with the horn. So, see how we've got the small edge of the servo? We could have done it like this, but that would have been a thicker edge. So we're going to use the small edge of the servo just like that. And we're just going to gently pop it into place until the servo is in its home. Now we're not going to put the horn on yet. We do that as we're calibrating it. We're going to do those one at a time and always last. Alright. Next link. And since we know we have our left and right sorted out, we can just go down the chain. Short side. Pop. Nice click. And you know, work that in there to make sure that you have a nice, smooth joint that can move, but the best connection is just moving. You don't want that to be sloppy, and you don't want that to be too tight. You want it just right. Again, bearing, short side, pop, and we've got one of our legs neatly assembled. Now, just to keep this organized, we'll put a little zip tie right at the base of the leg. And if you're wondering how we're going to figure out which servo is which, we can do it by length. Base, middle, end. Alright. this is ready to assemble, we'll put this off to the side. Go through and do the rest of them. Nice and satisfying, so we'll watch it. Hook, bearing, servo to the short side, and gentle pop. Nice connection. Good. Bearing, servo to the short side, pop. Nice connection. Great. Bearing, servo to the short side. Oops. Servo to the short side. There you go. Nice. Keep it organized with the zip tie. I didn't realize we were having a meta moment there for a second. Good. Let's put these over here where you can see them. Alright. Next. Bearing. Servo to the short side. Gentle. Pop. Nice connection. Good. Bearing. Servo to the short side. Pop. Let's not want to bed that in nicely. Great. Bearing. Servo to the short side. Pop. Nice. And let's start with a zip tie for those. Good. Bearing. Servo to the short side. Gentle. Pop. Press and twist. Good connection. Alright. Bearing. Servo to the short side. Pop. Press and twist. Good connection. Bearing. Servo to the short side. Pop. Press and twist. Zip tie. Alright. Great. Go through and trim our zip ties. Great. Now we'll bring our body back in and we can start assembling things to the body. There. Alright. So, the first thing to notice is that when we turn on our body, we should have our battery tucked in its battery compartment, the wire tucked away, and we're going to have all of our power supplies just sort of hanging off to the side like this. Alright, so now I'm going to quick pop over to Bowler Studio and launch our launch.groovy file, which should find our lovely little SmallKat. There he goes. Good-o. I'm going to switch it over to cat mode. Oopsie. Probably should have waited till it's done. Okay, now switch it over to cat mode. Great. So, first things to notice is that before we put the legs on, we have to put the head and the neck and tail motors on. So in order to do that, we do it the same way we did the legs. We rotate to the small side, put the bearing in, and gently pop. Rotate while pinching. Good. Then to the other side, same trick. Bearing first. Slide the servo in gently. Hold and do the twist. Twist, 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 twist. Good. Now, the very first thing we're going to need to calibrate is the base of the neck and the base of the tail. So, first things we want to look up are the two pin locations for those two servos. Now I grab two 3-pin headers, and I'm going to figure out which servo is closest to the neck by figuring out which one's longer. There's our long one. Good. And which one's closest to the neck? There's our long one. Good. Now, since we see our markings that say this is our front, and the rib cage confirms that this is our front, then this is our neck. So we're going to, here, let me focus in on that real quick. So we're going to go into the arms section and find our head. And I know heads are not arms, but for the sake of how the kinematics are dealt with by the robot controller, it's all in the same category of thing. We're going to find the very first link, which is basePan. Alright. Now you can see Bowler Studio. Ooh, well, you can't see, but I can. Bowler Studio has highlighted the link. Now, we want to check with our documentation to figure out which one of the links we should be connecting to. So we pop back over to our instructions in step 6. So for the head, basePan should be pin 27. Cool. Let's plug in our... Oh, let's switch back to transition. Let's switch back. Let's take our servo pin and plug it into pin 27. Alright, where, oh where is pin 27? Looks like it's right there. Now, how do we know if we have the right pin? We take the slide bar and we wiggle it around. And if you see the servo that we're looking at moving, which you should now see, everything's all set. Now, I just want to set this to 0. or as close to 0 as we can make it. And we're going to come over here. Let me switch back to this. We're going to come over to under basePan, hardware config basePan. Alright, so now we're trying to figure out where the 0 value is that makes our physical cat neck placed in exactly where our virtual cat neck is at the moment. And since the most useful place to do that is at 0 degrees, we have a value here, right here, that lets us set the value that represents 0 degrees. So I'm going to grab the horn for this link, which is the small single black one, and I'm going to move the neck as close to what appears to be 0 degrees as I can get it, and then wiggle the horn into place. Now the horn is going to be close to where we want it to be, but it's never going to be precise. In fact, you can be off by as much as 1 full horn spline tick, and there's about 25 ticks on the horn itself, so you can be off by 360 divided by 25, whatever that works out to be. Alright, so the way we adjust for this discrepancy, and this is a manufacturing thing, every servo is going to be manufactured by pressing the central spline down onto a gear, and then the gear connects to the sensor, so there's always that little bit of offset between the two that can creep in an imprecision in the manufacturing process. So the way we correct for this is we're going to look very carefully. Now let's see if I can line this up right with the camera's view center. We're going to align this with this as close as we can by moving this slide bar. Alright, so I'm watching the real robot and I'm moving the slide bar, and I just want to get to the point where it looks like the two things are aligned, so the neck is nice and straight. Alrighty, that looks pretty good. Cool. We now have one servo calibrated. So we're going to take the small Phillips head screw, which is this one, and there it is, this little screw, and we're going to use it to connect up the horn to the servo motor and make our calibration permanent. Alright. Great. Now, to save this calibration in your SmallKat permanently, you're going to hit the publish button. Hit publish. You're going to say changed. Head basePan. Publish. And if you see push OK, then you'll know that your file was saved on GitHub, and that the next time you try to open your SmallKat, your configurations should still be there. Cool. Now, if you were to move the head around to another position, you should now see that they are calibrated together, so that the angle, let's put this in the same orientation, so if I'm like this, then head, So watch for the neck. Great. When we set it back to 0 degrees, it should go back to home. And if you put it in some random position and you just suddenly want to get back to home, you just go ahead and hit the home button up here. Cool. All right. So, now that we've calibrated the neck, let's do the tail. Because these are the two that you have to do first. You can't do any of the others until you do these two. Alright, so now, the tail, basePan, and we see from our documentation that that's supposed to be on pin 33. Cool. So we take our servo, we find pin 33. Pin 33. There you are. Remember, yellow's our signal wire closest to the ESP. And we want to start by double checking that this is the correct servo. Looking good. Set home to get it back to 0. We're going to head over to our hardware config and put the horn in. So the other parts that you get from the little baggie, you can put it in your junk pile and use it for something else. Alright. So now we're going to try to position the neck as close to that 0 line as we can, so that the default is as close to correct as we can be. And then we're going to get that horn pressed on there. Set it in stone. We put the little tiny screw in. Remember, don't forget these screws. These are really important. If you do, the servo will slowly destroy the little plastic horn. And those are hard to replace. Alright, so now we're going to use our 0 degrees value to center our horn. That is what it is. Alright, let's do that centering a bit more. Cool. So now, hit publish. Cool. Alright. 2 down. Now, the head and tail will be the last 2 servos that we do. So we're just going to leave these off to the side for now. Alright. That should be good for this video. Thanks for watching.